Tonight was supposed to be the best night of his life, his college graduation, his proudest moment. But beneath the smiles and champagne, a betrayal darker than he ever imagined simmered. He had the evidence. He had the plan. And by the end of dinner, everyone would know the ugly truth. Subscribe to the channel before jumping into the video. The champagne flutes clinked. Laughter echoed across the private dining room of the elegant rooftop restaurant. The city skyline glowed in the soft purple haze of sunset, and for a moment, everything seemed perfect. Ethan Carter had done it. First in his family to graduate college, a business degree with honors, and a job lined up in one of the top firms in New York. Family and friends had gathered to celebrate the culmination of 4 grueling years of sleepless nights, early mornings, and relentless ambition. But Ethan wasn't smiling. Not really, the way a man should be when life seems golden. No, something darker churned beneath the surface. His heart felt heavier than it had ever been, because Ethan Carter knew the truth, and tonight, the truth was going to burn. It had started 2 months earlier. A chance encounter, a forgotten jacket. Ethan had left his economics class late one Thursday evening, exhausted from back-to-back exams. He returned for his jacket, only to pause when he heard low murmurs from inside the lecture hall. At first, he thought nothing of IT professors often stayed behind to chat with students. But the voices were familiar. Too familiar. He crept closer. No. It was Professor Robert Langley. The same Robert Langley who had mentored Ethan, written his glowing recommendation letters, and who, until that moment, he had respected beyond measure. The second voice, Emma, his high school sweetheart, the woman he'd planned to propose to on graduation day. Hushed tones, the awkward laughter, the way she whispered, "Someone might hear us." Ethan felt something crack in his chest. He stood there, frozen in place, long enough to hear the unmistakable rustle of clothing, the quiet moans that would haunt him for weeks, and the breathless giggle of a woman he thought he knew. In the weeks that followed, Ethan didn't confront Emma. He didn't rage. He didn't cry. Instead, he plotted. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the magnitude of it. The professor he admired, the woman he loved, both entwined in deceit, sharing stolen moments in the very institution he'd bled himself dry to succeed in. He couldn't let it go. Not like that. Not quietly. And so, he did something he never thought he'd do. He planted a voice recorder in Emma's purse. Slim, nearly weightless device. The kind used in business meetings. Each time she studied late or attended extra tutoring, Ethan listened. The audio confirmed every suspicion, every ugly detail. Langley and Emma weren't just having an affair. They were laughing about him, mocking him. "I bet he still thinks you're his sweet little angel," Langley sneered in one recording. "He's clueless," Emma giggled. "After graduation, I'll break it off. He's just safe for now." Safe. The word set Ethan's blood on fire. The night of the graduation dinner arrived faster than Ethan anticipated. A dozen guests. Family, close friends, Emma, his parents, his younger sister, even Langley himself invited ironically because of the special role he'd played in Ethan's academic journey. They all gathered in a private dining room, the windows offering panoramic views of the city lights, crystal glasses, white linen tablecloths, the finest food, the kind of night people remember forever. And Ethan intended to make sure of that. He stood up halfway through dinner, raising his glass for a toast. "Before we continue," he began, voice steady, smile gentle, "I just want to say thank you. To everyone, to my family, to my professors, and especially to the person who's been by my side through it all." Aima beamed. She reached for his hand, but he subtly pulled away. Tonight isn't just about graduating college, Ethan continued. It's about honesty, about integrity, about truth. And I think it's only fair that I share something before I move on to the next chapter of my life. The room fell quiet. Chairs shifted, brows furrowed. See, he said, pacing slowly, his voice dropping into something cooler, sharper. I always believed the people closest to me were loyal. That the hard work I put in academically, personally, was mirrored by the people I loved. Emma's face began to pale. Langley's jaw tightened. Sometimes, Ethan smiled darkly. The people you trust the most are the very ones who sharpen the knives. He nodded toward the waiter stationed discreetly by the corner. Would you mind pressing play? Without hesitation, the waiter tapped a remote control. Hidden speakers in the corners of the room crackled softly. Then the voices filled the air. Emma's voice, Langley's voice, the unmistakable sounds of whispered betrayal. I can't believe we've gotten away with this for so long. Emma's recorded voice purred. I almost feel bad for the kid. Langley laughed. Almost. The air was sucked from the room. Gasps. Someone dropped a fork. Ethan's mother clutched her husband's arm in horror. Emma shot to her feet, face bone white. Ethan, stop please. He didn't stop. The recording continued, each vile word slicing through the air like broken glass. Every denial she might have crafted was obliterated in real time. Langley stood up too, visibly sweating, his face twisted in panic. This is illegal. You can't, Ethan cut him off. Calm. Deadly. You can call it illegal. I call it justice. The scene unraveled into chaos. Emma sobbed, her mascara streaking down her cheeks as she begged Ethan to turn it off. Langley tried to speak, but the damage was irreversible. Friends and family stared, jaws slack, unable to process the spectacle. Ethan let the recording play to the bitter end. And then silence. The city lights outside twinkled on, blissfully indifferent to the human wreckage unfolding within the room. Ethan looked directly at Emma, his voice soft. You know what the saddest part is? I was going to propose tonight. Her breath hitched. He pulled the small velvet box from his pocket and placed it gently on the table. Then he turned to Professor Langley. And you? I hope your tenure was worth it. Because I'm forwarding every single recording to the dean first thing tomorrow. Langley's eyes bulged. Ethan walked out to applause. Not from everyone, but from enough. His younger sister clapped softly, barely hiding her grin. Few friends gave him discreet nods of approval. Even one of the assistant professors muttered, about damn time someone took him down. Outside, the air was cool. The city hummed with life. Ethan exhaled, heart pounding, adrenaline still roaring through his veins. For the first time in months, the weight in his chest lifted. He felt free. The fallout was swift and brutal. Langley was suspended within 48 hours pending a formal investigation. Multiple students came forward with similar stories of inappropriate relationships and academic manipulation. The media caught wind of it, and soon the scandal was front-page news on campus. Emma, she tried to call, she tried to text. She showed up at Ethan's apartment crying hysterically, swearing it meant nothing, that it was a mistake, that she was confused. Ethan didn't answer. He didn't need to. The recordings spoke louder than any of her words ever could. Instead, he moved on. He started his new job, made new friends, focused on the life he was building, one forged from hard work and authenticity, not lies and deceit. Months later, he sat in another restaurant, a different city, a new skyline. A woman across from him laughed, genuine, kind eyes sparkling with something real. And for the first time in a long time, Ethan smiled without the weight of betrayal crushing his ribs. The graduation scandal was behind him, and the future stretched wide and open before him. Subscribe for more.